Welcome everyone to the Sharjah Masters 2025. We have Anish Giri with the white pieces taking on the very talented youngster from Indian chess, Pranav Anand, who is 25-55 rated. Anish opens the game with knight f3 and Pranav responds back with knight f6, g3. Well, one of the things that Anish, we find him generally playing the super tournaments. Here he is playing an open event, and when you face a player like Pranav, you have to beat him because he's 200 points rated below. But at the same time, he's so well prepared. So, how do you beat him is the question. We will see what Anish's strategy is like. For now, his opponent has gone for the very solid Queen's Gambit decline kind of a setup, pushing his pawn to c5. And now Anish has a choice between pushing d4. He goes d3, just playing in this King's Indian attack style, where you bring your knight to d2, then push e4. It's actually a reversed King's Indian setup for white. So knight comes out to c6. And now he plays pawn to a4. An interesting move here by Anish, gaining space on the queen side. Pranav brings his bishop out to e7. And how does Anish continue here? He plays bishop f4. This bishop is pretty well placed because it stops e5. But you know, sometimes knight h5, the bishop could get into some trouble. But Pranav is like, I want to trade the bishops. He moves it again, the black bishop to d6. Anish takes. And now Pranav comes back. And he takes back, queen takes d6. And knight comes out to d2. So Anish has gotten rid of his c1 bishop. I don't know if he should be happy about it because the remaining black bishop is slightly passive. But here you can see Pranav fighting for its activity. e4 played here by Anish. And one of the things that you will notice is that after d4, which Pranav does play, the knight gets the very nice square on c4. But, king h1. That's a very, very interesting move by Anish. And the speed at which he's playing is immense. 1 minute 25 seconds. Pranav as well. 1 minute 25 seconds. Maybe this is preparation. h6 played. Maybe to play g5 at some point to stop. If you go knight h4, I have g5, knight g1. So Anish's idea starts to become clear. He wants to play f4 here. Maybe the plan isn't particularly liked by the engines here. And h5 played, very interesting. What he wants to do is after f4, he wants to push forward with h4, opening up the rook's line against the king. He plays his knight to c4 first, attacking the queen on d6 and also the pawn. And now the queen, black queen, drops back to c7. Queen to c7 played. And bishop h3. Wow. That's a very interesting move found by Anish. His bishop wasn't that great. It was hitting the pawns there. And so he trades it. Bishop takes bishop. Knight takes h3. And can we simply go h4? Or we can even go long castle here. He goes h4. And he's like, I'm going to open up the h file. I think the only move now for Anish is g4. But it's a good move. It's a great move actually. And Anish plays g4 and he's very happy. You can see his face. He's slightly confused. Why did Pranav allow me g4? Because next move I'm anyway going f4. Queen to d7. That was Pranav's idea. He wants to attack the pawn on g4. Maybe rook g1. Yes, rook g1 on the board. And Anish has a clear plan now with f4. Pranav needs to be careful. He can't go g5 to lock everything up. It's a free pawn. Long castle played. And f4 it is, I think. Just pushing the pawn forward. Yes, he pushes it to f4. And I like how both the players are moving quickly. Anish has used only 13 minutes of his time. Pranav has used close to 30 minutes. He takes on e5. And now knight f4 is possible. You can also go queen f3 to take it with the queen. That's what Anish has done. Queen f3 on the board. Knight to h7. And well, you can take queen takes f4 here. Yes, queen takes f4 on the board. And now it's a tricky position. You can see the queen is nicely placed. Sometimes there are threats like a5 and knight b6 check. Knight f8 played here. And let's see now, Anish brings his rook to f1. The f7 point is a bit soft. But Pranav is anyway going to go f6. Yes. And the knight is coming to e6. The other knight could come to e5. So black's position does look okay. But here Anish has a very, very good move. And that move is queen f5. Finds it. Queen f5. Because if you take here, I take with the g pawn. And the g7 pawn becomes very weak. So knight e6. And now where do we break through? Do we go g5 here? Which is very interesting. Do we go e5, which is also possible? But Anish goes with his knight to f4. He's actually trying to get the knight right into the heart of the black's camp. Knight takes, knight taken. And do we trade the queens here? He takes with the rook. A very, very interesting position. I must say, Anish has played it beautifully with the g5 move in hand. b6 played. Maybe king b7, a6, b5. He wants to start playing on the queen side once the queens are traded. g5 played here. Does Anish have enough in this position to keep, pushing? Queen takes queen, taken. And now, of course, you take with the rook, not with the pawn here. Yes, rook takes f5, taken. And maybe rook h5. Very interesting position there. A very interesting choice that he has. But he goes knight e7. And this perhaps is not the best move. Because now after the rook comes back, you will see that this pawn on g5 acted like a minority attack against the black pawns. So what happens there is, I'm going to either take and weaken your f6 pawn, or you will take rook takes and your g7 pawn is weak. So Pranav has an unenviable task here. He takes on g5 with the pawn. And now rook takes on g5, attacking the pawn on g7, threatening rook f7 here. What to do next? He goes pawn to g6. And there you go, rook f7 played. King comes up to d7, but now you can already take the pawn on g6. It's pinned here. Or you can play maybe rook g7. Anish also has a lot of time. You can see 52 minutes. Wow, they played so fast actually. This is move number 30. And Anish has used only 38 minutes. It's very rare actually, to tell you the truth. Rook f8 played, offering a trade of rooks. And now knight e5 check. Pranav brings the king back to e8. Maybe take here on f8. Rook takes, rook takes. There's some counterplay that black is getting here because the rook can enter. White's rook is attacked here. But rook at 6. I love how Anish has played this. But can we get like check and rook c1? Oh, look at this. So tricky. When you come here, it's actually a check and you lose the knight. You have to give up the knight. That's incredible resource. Now the king goes to d8 and Pranav has on his mind check and here or rook f2 directly. So he goes king g2, stopping that. Anish, so clinical here, so clinical. Rook g8 check. If you go to f3, I believe there will be another check. You can go to h3 perhaps. King h3 played. King takes h4 is possible. Rook g1 played. And this is a moment to be careful now. Opponent is getting counterplay, and again a world-class player move. Rook f6, not rook takes h4, which was also good. Rook c1 getting this counterplay here, but rook f6, so that when rook comes here to c1 to attack here, I can defend it with rook f2. Rook a1 played, b3 on the board, and Anish also is going to take the h4 pawn with his king. So rook c1, of course, come back to f2. That was the plan. Rook f2 on the board. He goes king to c7. He wants to bring his king up to d6. And now king takes h4 on the board. King e5, king d6, attacking the knight. And the knight goes to c4 with a check now. He goes knight g4. Knight to c6. And king g5. Such beautiful coordination here for white. He's going to push his h-pawn, but Pranav is like, hey, I'm going to get some counterplay now. I'm attacking your c2 pawn. How dangerous is that? Well, Anish says, take the pawn. I'm queening my h-pawn. Because if rook takes c2, I can simply trade rooks and push h5. And I think white is clearly winning. So he takes with the knight, and Anish still pushes the pawn. And one of the things I truly feel that Anish has made this decision in this tournament is to play fast. I think that is an intention that he has set here. Knight e3 to trade the knights. And can we go h6? Very interesting. He touches the pawn, he pushes it. Because rook g1 is possible to pin the knight. But if you go rook g1, I'll simply go rook f4, defending it. He plays rook g1. And rook f4 played. Fantastic. And now threat again h7. So rook h1. And can we actually go king g6? We have the view being obstructed by one of the players there. Don't know if the move has been made. King g6. He plays rook h4 here, pinning the knight this way. But this is a tactical error, and Anish doesn't even think for a minute. He's just in super speed mode. Rook f4, and his point is now check and h7, and you can't stop the pawn. Knight check. King e6. h7. And this game, I must say, king h5, very nice. Anish just not leaving the king, and now if the rook goes down to give a check, I'll always block with the knight. So I'm making a queen and resigns there by Pranav. Anish wins an amazing game. I must call it the Anish Giri classic here, yeah? What a game this was. And Pranav says, can we analyze outside? Well, they did analyze here for more than 20 minutes outside. Maybe we'll put up that video separately. For now, Anish Giri is on 2.5 out of 3 at the Sharjah Masters 2025. It's a tournament, open event, and Anish is doing really well.